Welcome, both of you. I guess we might as well get going on this. A couple of things that I wanted to accomplish today, just because I've been a bit out of the loop with some events yesterday. Who was that? I guess that was Batiste's headset. Just making noise. So I just wanted to go over quickly, really just for my benefit more than y'all, since y'all are all around last week when I wasn't, just where some things are. I wanted to catch up on where the bill of materials discussion was, and then just towards the end, Batiste, I wanted to talk about that that update levels pull request number 70, if we can get some time. So maybe Raul, do you want to go ahead and start? Like, how's the ATH and PCT pipeline library stuff coming along?
Yes, so the pipeline library is already able to run PCT ATH without problems. Oleg has done an incredible job creating an essentials test step, which basically runs everything. And now I am implementing that on Git plugin. I'm having some issues because some implementations are not yet fully functional. For example, I need to update the custom web packager to be able to install Blue plugins, which is some of the plugins we want to run for Git. And I have also found that the Docker PCT image is not honoring the PCT hooks. So Blue Ocean, for example, cannot be run using the Docker image. That kind of things that we are going to find a lot of things as we go along trying to finish the implementation. That is my current status.
Where does the Docker PCT image get published from? Is that something automatically being published right now?
Yes, we have automatic build now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. By the way, what is missing in the custom word packager? I missed it.
So I have created a ticket. It's maybe I am wrong, and if I am wrong, we can close this. But I have tried to. Oh, sorry. What is the chat here? So I'm trying to put a Blue Ocean GitHub pipeline into custom web packager, and it's unable to find the version because it's trying to get that from GitHub. That is a multi-module project, so that repo doesn't exist.
Yeah, probably doing something wrong because currently it takes versions from Artifactory if you configure it to take version, and if you configure to take the directory path or a GitHub branch, then it will build and use a locally generated version, so it should work in both cases.
Okay,
we can just take a line after the meeting.
Yeah, perfectly fine. I will be very happy to close this. Yeah. So if this is my failure, which is more than probable, then there are some things that we need to fix for finish the Git flow. I mean the complete flow with custom web packager and all the things, which is there are some plugins like GitHub that don't pass the PCT at this moment. So we need to fix them.
Something, Raul, that you're going to plan to fix, or you're going to ask the maintainer and hope they have the time to fix?
Probably I'm going to create a first run in Git without them. And after that, I'm going to go on plugin by plugin basis, because for some of them, I have already a very clear idea of what the fix is.
Okay.
And I will just see what on one by one. I will create follow-up tasks for every plugin that has to be fixed to have a proper tracking there. That is one thing, and the other thing is I would like to discuss regarding the ATH. I have created a ticket. Thanks a lot for all the comments there. It's the ticket. It's five. Oh, sorry. Where is the ticket? It's infra 1625, and that is regarding how are we going to update things on the flow. When I talk about things, is like the ATH version we are going to use and that kind of things. And I think I fully agree with your last comment, Jesse. Just I have put something there, and well, just take a look, comment there, and we can try to reach some consensus there.
What was that ticket number again?
1625. That
Okay.
one, yeah.
Have been active.
There is. Well, I think Jesse and I are never ever going to to agree on some things, but yeah, it's normal.
Okay. Are there any things that Raul, for you and from Baptiste and I that we could help, or you need us to work on with you?
Sorry, can you repeat? I haven't understood.
Are there any things from Baptiste and I that you need help with, or that we could unblock?
No, not at this moment.
Okay. Oleg, what's going on in your world?
Yeah, so one interesting update is Essentials test. And so we have a utility method in pipeline library which allows running custom work packager, PCT, and then acceptance test harness in a single flow. And I have already created a bunch of pull requests to different repositories like Jenkins, StatPlayer, also Artifact Manager S3 plugin. Not this one. Essentials test is already integrated, so you can just open Groovy. Yeah, what this thing does is actually it runs integration tests in a single flow. So it integrates with run PCT and run ETH created by Raul, and it consumes Essentials YAML as a single input.
Right.
So that you can define everything in a single file. And just a second, I'll provide an example. So one of our pain points, for example, was StatPlayer integration testing. And I have created a pull request for that using this Essentials test flow. I have pasted the link to the chat. So if you open file changes, effectively it just takes Essentials YAML, takes yeah, there are some crappy make files. Yeah, but effectively it's just a single step for Jenkins file, which takes a YAML configuration in a standard format and then just does all integration tests in a pipeline. And yeah, you have the same for remoting. And just a second,
maybe I'm misunderstanding here, but I don't see. This says incrementals test. This says essentials test.
Oh yeah, so it's a typo, and that's why there is an infra ticket to get permissions, because currently it doesn't build my Jenkins file at all.
I see.
Yeah, so just a second, I'll provide.
Yeah, if you send that to me, I'll get that sorted.
Okay, yeah, I've already created a ticket and I'll send it to you. So I pasted another link. It's a demo of the Jenkins continuous integration flow. So if you scroll to the right, in addition to what we had before, it also runs integration tests for a set of plugins. that is TBD, but yeah, they think that you just have a YAML file, and then for any repository or whatever, plugging in core component on core itself, you can just define this flow.
Cool.
So we will be working with Raul in order to productize this flow a bit. Now, there are still some glitches. For example, if you want to build the core with class loading, but yeah, generally it works.
Can we have the ATH run in parallel with PCT here?
No. So it's something we could do, but yeah, the problem is that Blue doesn't display it in a fine way.
Well, just be one more branch in the same parallel.
Yeah, it's not that easy. We will need to rework existing run ETH and run PCT steps.
So the question I would rather have answered is, which is, like, if we think about the testing pyramid, is PCT more important than ATH, or the other way around? Like, which takes longer and which is going to give us better results faster?
So in ideal world, ETH is also parallelized, but our main spot check test run, which takes something like 20 minutes. If we were able to parallelize spot checks, the flow would be much more effective. But yeah, currently we can switch PCT and ATH. It's just code change. So I don't have strong opinion how to run that.
I want the faster, more readily applicable tests moving to the front of our pipelines, and then going up that testing pyramid to our smaller suite of acceptance tests that take a long time. Those should be last, so that if there is going to be a failure, we don't spend so much time running, a whole bunch of infrastructure just to run ATH tests if we could have found a failure earlier, for example.
Well, I should say, in the case of core, not sure what you're looking at here. I think this is core. I mean, in the case of core, one of the slowest things is actually the functional tests in the core repo. So, I mean, either way, we're going to have, or we should have, the fail fast mode. So as soon as you get some test failures, you can
just so I'm clear, I don't actually care what order anything runs in. I just want to make sure that we're being efficient with our budget on Azure.
Basically, pick your poison. Both PCT and ATH are not that efficient. The thing I did for the core, that for the core we don't run ATH in parallel with unit tests now. But yeah, for the rest, maybe we can do it optional.
I'm just asking you all to be thoughtful about this, that running everything under the sun in parallel, if there's no fail fast, or if
that's a great idea. I know.
Yeah, we're not made of money.
Okay.
Yeah, we may need to spend some money, paying people to spend time making some of these tests faster.
Right.
Anyway, continuous delivery requires more resources from infrastructure. So yes, I think this flows. Of course, for Jenkins, for Stepler, we will be consuming more resources to run this thing.
So Oleg, I understand that, and I'm fully expecting that. We're rapidly approaching $10,000 a month for just ci.jenkins.io, and I don't believe for a second that we're running things efficiently. So all I'm asking is when you and Raul and Jesse and Baptiste to a certain extent are going through this, to be mindful of what test cases can run when to get us results, not just results faster for us, but results with the most efficient use of our computing resources.
Yeah, stuff we expect to fail due to actual mistakes.
Okay, noted.
But this looks really cool. This was, I think, what you had showed me last week, Oleg, and I didn't understand the pipeline you were sending me, but now I do.
So yeah, the main idea that we do more integrated integration testing, and we do it in runtime. So JC has created incremental release infrastructure. Custom work package is already integrated with this. And yeah, we will be able to run more and more integration tests if needed.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, Surefire has some features to do things like run recently failed tests sooner and stuff like that. I don't think it would work all that well in this case because we have so many different test suites with different infrastructures and so on. But I mean, we might need to spend some time developing or finding and integrating some tools that try to predict the most likely points of failure based on which files are changed in the particular pull request, and yeah, as Baptiste says, statistics about things that failed in the past. Or
yes, but as it's right now, it still wouldn't fail early because it's not fail fast as of today, right?
We're getting off topic for what I want to do in this meeting.
We are solutionizing the cost saving part already.
All I'm asking is to think about it, and we can come up with ways to implement solutions in a not meeting.
Just for the record, I have some concerns about the fail fasting that we can talk later.
Okay, let's talk about that after this meeting in the Gitter channel.
Okay, so let's move forward.
Okay. So Jesse, I saw some messages about the Git plugin changes. It looks like we're about ready to wrap up the incrementals work. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, if you click the update button, principle should just work. So.
Are there any other things from infrastructure that we need other than just a plugins update on CI Jenkins IO?
There's that PR on the permissions repo, I guess. It's loosely related to infra, but it's the one from Jesse updating everything in the permissions repo, which is somehow blocking some things right now.
Yeah, last I checked, that was still awaiting annual. So
Daniel commented already. Yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering if I would file a separate PR, which would conflict yours, but at least to get in some things like essentials, metrics, and the things we already use in essentials.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, I'll follow up with that. And I also am drafting a blog post about the infrastructure side of this.
Cool.
I'll try to get that filed soon.
Incrementals to me is a really big step forward. So what's the next big thing you're doing, Jesse?
Actually nothing. I'm supposed to be working on other stuff. So.
Oh no. Okay. Well, that's a bummer. We'll miss you and all your good code.
Well, the basics are pretty much working. I mean, I think the interesting things at this point are going to be around like the stuff Raul was talking about and figuring out exactly what Evergreen is publishing when and how we validate those things from tests and so on. So that's sort of higher level work.
But... Baptiste?
Sorry, what? It cut off, I guess, or on your
turn, buddy. Your turn, buddy.
Okay, so last week I almost, I would say, finalized the service side of the error telemetry thing, and the JEP, I would say, is now ready. I'm going to file the PR because for outside people looking at what I'm saying, yeah. So this one is not yet filed as a PR because it was sent to the developers mailing list for feedback, and now I've got feedback from you, Tyler, already. So we discussed quite a few things, which I think I addressed in every addressed all of them. The only thing I didn't put in with regard to our discussion is the diagram, because I think we agreed on the fact that now the HTTP verbs and the HTTP status codes I added in the proposal should be enough to understand and everything, because this is going to be then just a push of the log and then maybe being rejected by something like too large data and so on. So I've been spending the time finalizing that JEP and already fixing the prototype code in Evergreen, so to adapt and to do that, which is not wrapped up totally yet, because I need also to not use the database anymore as it was the fact currently. And I need to adapt now to, for instance, reject data if it's more than 1 megabyte, as we agreed on. For others who might have read that we wrote that I would reject things when they would be above like 10K characters, I think. And now we said, okay, we are going to define some maximum, but very, very high, just to avoid attacks, basically, and so on, and to break everything in the backend if we push something like 1 terabyte or 1 gigabyte log. But that's mostly it. And I hope to be able to really wrap up that one soonish, and more than removing the ish, to switch to something else. And I think we need to, at some point, also meet to discuss, which kind of the point today anyway, but what is left to really for milestone 1 to have something usable, I would say.
So you had discussed some of the FluentD work with Olivier.
Yeah.
One of the big questions that I had about that, and I don't remember if we discussed this last week, is how developers like Jesse, for example, would get access to those error logs if we were passing them into FluentD. Have you given much thought to that?
Yes and no. We discussed that, but we didn't come to a solution yet because it seemed like a bit too early, because for now we mostly wanted to have an understanding, or I was wanting from the Evergreen project side, have an understanding on how what was in place from Kubernetes infrastructure in the Jenkins infrastructure cluster, what was existing with regard to error logging. So right now, I think indeed, if I remember correctly, there's, by the way, a meeting note merged and added to the Evergreen repo, if you just want to open it, but it's pretty short. I'm not sure I wrote something about that there, but basically, if I remember, there is only Tyler. So Tyler, the guy on the left, for other people, Jenkins one, and Olivier who have access to the accounts there. And so, yes, so no, we didn't discuss some way to provide access to people outside. I think we somehow said that it should come later to try and provide maybe some dedicated app or dedicated access or something to the log analytics, Azure log analytics UI, or maybe some front end to protect with regard to, I don't know, privacy or something. For that kind of, I think we have an epic talking about metrics and telemetry in general.
Baptiste, what I would like you to think about this week is how the people on this call, so Jesse, Oleg, and Raul, for example, in the least effort way possible, will get access to these logs. Because we're not going to build an application just to pull logs back out. At least right now, we have too many other things to do. But yep. Jesse and Oleg, for example, need to have access to exceptions as we pull these through. The same with Carlos and some other people. And
sure.
So we have to find some easy way to get them out in a way that's suitable.
Yeah, I just wrote it down, but I guess you will have to, as a PM, as a product manager for Essentials, have to express what you want from the privacy perspective. Should we just open it to some people we know and trust, or should it be openable to more people? And so, for instance, should those people be allowed and it would be okay that they see the existing Jenkins infrastructure logs, some of those, or should they really see only exclusively Essentials one and so on?
Only Essentials.
Okay, right.
And we have just for your understanding, we have the LDAP behind the scenes in our project infrastructure, and we also have the ability to define groups. We don't take very strong advantage of either of those things right now. Or we can put logs somewhere else for the time being. I don't have a strong opinion.
Right.
But to me, if we are not able to provide this error telemetry to Oleg, Jesse, and Carlos, then it's almost as if we wouldn't have needed to record them at all. Like if only you and I have them, then we don't sort of achieve what we're trying to achieve with the visibility for developers.
I can send them by email.
Create a Jira ticket.
A weekly report. Okay. Noted.
So is that about it?
Yes. And so we'll have to discuss what's. Well, I have some ideas, but what you think should be next, and I would like to be able to. I think we should meet, but I think you were planning to discuss that to see how I can help on the 17th, your PR.
Right. So we might as well we'll switch over to that. So most of the work that I was doing last week was not Jenkins Essentials, unfortunately. I was standing and looking pretty at a CloudBees booth for Microsoft Build. So in between that, I did get a lot of things what I thought were wrapped up. So this pull request has sort of gotten a little unwieldy due to my own time. But there is the update service is pushing out update levels. The client is storing it. The client is also sending it with its checks for updates. And so it's only updating if there are updates available, which with one hard-coded set of updates, that means after the first run of the client, it's done. Baptiste, what I really need your help on is I've been on sort of low bandwidth connections most of the week last week, and I haven't been able to really test run these acceptance tests very well. I've had to rely a little bit on Jenkins for those. When I run things manually, things work. When they run in CI, or if I run, make check locally, it doesn't seem like all the updates are getting pulled down. The first thing that would be really helpful to make this easier is if for the integration tests that we were recording or saving the logs that are coming off of the Docker container. So if there's a failure that log gets written out, because I don't have a strong understanding of what's actually failing here. That would be really helpful for me.
I did try your PR this morning, and I see some things failing. So indeed, we should need to think at least to try edge between what should be working and what shouldn't be, or what is not supposed to be working. Because, for instance, this morning I was seeing the client not able to connect because, for instance, the server would start just after it, just a bit too late, and so the client would never try to reconnect, and so everything would be failing. So yeah, I'm not sure what I ought to be fixing, or or this is supposed to work, or maybe for a race condition reason on your machine it's working, and so on. So that's why I wanted to think.
So I think the ordering is probably it's correct. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see because I'm sharing my screen. It's correct, but it's not coming up fast enough. That's certainly a problem. I expect at this point that these tests should be working.
Yep.
Because I've manually validated that running the server and the client. So
I do know that some tests are failing because of an issue I reported yesterday and should have been fixed in the meantime. So there was something totally failing on the config as code plugin, which was so it's been fixed in the meantime. And also I've checked, but I think in your case it's already not the case anymore. we shouldn't need to build anything anymore because everything is released or something. And soonish, by the way, we should be able also to use, as soon as the PR we were talking earlier about, the one from Jesse, we should be able to just use the incremental versions releases for metrics, for essentials, for whatever plugin we want to use. And I guess it would be slightly simpler.
So why don't I, so we can work effectively on this. Why don't I target this branch of mine to a new topic branch on this repository? And then we can open up pull request and we can sort of triage and deal with the little issues with this pull request separately. And we can, does that make sense?
I'm not sure. No, I'm sorry. I'm not sure I grokked everything you meant.
So instead of targeting master right now, target a different branch on this repository that we both can just, like, if you update the config as code plugin version, for example, just sending a pull request to that, rather than, like, I'll close this pull request out and we'll just create a topic branch that's not master. So we can land some of these changes until that branch is passing.
You mean the master branch because you think right now the master branch is not passing anymore? Yeah, I think it's the case. But I really was willing indeed to help and so on because indeed I didn't want to create too much conflict because you've already removed everything with regard to creating local versions of plugins. So I would create huge conflicts if I would do it this way. But yeah.
I'll chat with you more after the meeting. I think there's 3 or 4 things that we've talked about that need to be addressed, and we'll just assign them to each other, and then we can move forward.
Let's just not bother everybody with our little concerns.
Once we have this pulled down or merged, these changes do provide the basics of the full flow. What I noticed while I was developing this, and Raul, depending on your time, I would really appreciate your help, is we've got, this is a fairly complex system because we've got to run a couple containers at once to orchestrate tests and everything like that. I'd like to start to figure out a better way that we can run our acceptance tests. Is right now the SH unit stuff that Baptiste originally created, it works okay, but I think there's a little bit more that we need to do reliability testing, like to say if the server is offline, for example, the issue that you ran into, Baptiste, that the client properly retries and reconnects once that server is offline. And defining those test cases is not something I feel very good about. And so Raul, if you have time, either this week to talk about it or at some point in the future to where you could help us with that. At least get us pointed in the right direction. That would be really great.
Absolutely. No problem with me.
Oh my, look at the time. We've gone quite long. So the other thing that I know is sort of at the top of my list, it's not literally at the top of my list, which, oh no, there it is. This test that Jesse asked me for, 51250 or 51250, there seems to be, and this is me segueing into the bill of materials discussion, the format of stuff that we need to ingest for the update service looks a lot like the update center JSON, for example. I just need a list of URLs and artifact IDs, that sort of a thing. So I was going to sketch out a file that would make sense for Jesse's tool to output. As far as I can tell, Jesse, that's the only thing that I'm blocking in the bill of materials discussion right now. Is that correct or incorrect?
I guess. I'm not really sure who's driving that discussion at this point.
We all are, Jesse. We all are.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty critical. We need to just have some sort of concrete example of how that metadata to be determined is fed into Evergreen and consumed.
Right.
So I guess if I understand correctly, your PR70 is still basically just hard coding the stuff as a stub.
Correct. Yeah, and that was this other ticket 5037. That was sort of. Might as well just make this depend on the other one. This is something that I would expect. The admin or an automated process can stand in for administrator, but basically,
Who's what admin?
This would be a Jenkins Essentials admin.
Okay. Why? What would you be posting to? And
the Evergreen service. Like the Evergreen service has to know about this change in the file in some way.
I mean, I would expect that gesture to be a Git change. No.
Well, so I think you're thinking about one part of this, and I'm thinking about the other. If a change gets made in Git, that's fine and that's expected. But at some point, that data needs to get sent, or evergreen.jenkins.io has to be notified that there's a new version of that in order for it to generate the right information. So that's all this is.
Okay, well, I guess if you replace the word admin with bot, then I would agree.
The headless admin.
There.
Throw me a robot.
Yeah, it's going to take your job.
Okay, we are 7 minutes late. We are bothering people. So, is the number of attendees outside of us non-zero today?
Yes, it is, but I'm okay bothering people.
Wow.
Especially you, Baptiste.
Yeah.
So for the bill of materials discussion, it sounds like maybe Jesse, you, Carlos, Oleg, and I should have a follow-up discussion this week.
And Raul. Yeah.
And Raul. Okay. I hope Carlos is done with all his cons. KubeCon seemed to have been a big one.
And then there was EW or something.
Follow up. Yeah. So we need Jesse, Raul, Oleg, and Carlos. Okay. Are there any other items we should go through or we need to discuss before we let Baptiste get back to his coffee? No?
And we let you wake up fully.
All right, thanks y'all for joining. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, and then we can just discuss some of these follow-up things in the Gitter channel. And I'll see y'all later.
Bye-bye.